Now, to guide us through these topics, we have with us Sagar Menon. Sagar is the co-founder and CEO of Mauka, an initiative edtech platform focused on enhancing soft skills like communication and confidence amongst young Indians. Under his leadership, Mauka has secured pre-seed funding from both the Government of India and angel investors, reflecting a strong early support for the platform's mission. In addition to Mauka, Sagar has co-founded SITA, a non-profit organization that works to make mental health resources more accessible to the youth. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 9. Oh, can you see the next slide now?
Yep.
All right. Okay, I think my screen froze for a second. Are we updated now? All right, so sorry about that. Yes, so in addition to Mauka, Sagar has co-founded SITA, a non-profit organization that works to make mental health resources more accessible to the youth. His work with SITA during the COVID-19 pandemic earned him the prestigious Diana Award, one of the highest honors for young people engaged in social impact globally. He was also recognized as a Resolution Fellow and received seed funding from the Resolution Project for his initiative. So thank you so much for being with us, Sagar, and thank you for taking us through these topics. So as I was saying before, Sagar will not only be speaking about these soft skills required for climate careers, but after a short break and a little bit of refreshing, we're going to go into mock interviews. So 4 of you, I believe, have been informed that you will be having a mock interview today, so that you can also understand and get real-time feedback on how it will be when you actually enter the space. So this also Sagar will be taking us through. Thank you so much for that. And after we are done with the mock interviews, since this is the last session, we'll be doing a quick activity as our cohort closure space, and hopefully it's interactive and fun. And we'll wrap things up with a feedback form, which by the way, we will not be ending the session until you fill it out. So we're waiting for you. And that's about it. That would wrap up our very final session. So with regards to this, I think, does anybody have any more questions regarding what is the agenda for today? All right. So yes, as you know, you can raise your hand. I think you guys are used to this drill by now. All right, great. So then without much further ado, Sagar, I'll hand this over to you. I'll stop sharing my screen for now. Please, thank you.
Yes, thanks Nitya for that introduction. Hi guys, thank you so much for being here. I hope I'm audible. There's no disturbance in the background. All good? Awesome, great. Just give me a minute, I'll share my screen. Yes, I hope everyone can see my screen. Yep, awesome, great. Yeah, so hi guys, my name is Sagar. Nitya has already given a great introduction to me, so I'm not going to spend any more time introducing myself. I run Mauka, and very interestingly that when the team reached out to me for this topic, I was quite perplexed because soft skills I get. Soft skills for climate career, I had to put in some thought. I was just like, okay, that's an interesting intersection, and how do I sort of think about that? And but it makes sense. Like it makes sense to me that the way you think about soft skills, or the way you think about skills that are not your say core technical skills, will be definitely different in the climate sphere, and that's primarily because your climate career doesn't have the same levers as a traditional career. All of you who have decided to sort of be here, congratulations on being here on this in this fellowship. I think that already shows so much agency as professionals or early career professionals that you want to do something meaningful in the space. But it also shows you that your career will not have the same trajectory as traditional or conventional careers, so to speak. And it's important to recognize the levers that exist for you in this career, in the climate career, as opposed to the ones in traditional careers. So if you go for advice to somebody who's done a traditional job all their lives, the kind of advice that they will give you is very different from what you in the climate space would need. I sort of try to create a diagram around it. If you look at a traditional career, that's typically how you look at it. Like you have certain skill sets. You might be great at coding, you might be great at accounting, you might be great at finance, and you get a job based on that. You get your salaries, promotions, and prestige as you move up the ladder. But when it comes to climate, this is slightly more nuanced. There is a problem. There is, of course, a passion that you have for this particular field, and then you decide the kind of problems you want to work on, and then you try to create impact in that space. And to create impact, you can't create impact alone. You still definitely need a community. You need to be able to sort of create a sense of urgency, and you can't box yourself and say, I'm a climate change professional, because that actually doesn't say much. Like, what does a climate change professional actually mean? Like, you will still have to have some sort of, there has to be some sort of interdisciplinarity in terms of what kind of role you want to play. Is it in finance? Does it have anything to do with engineering or something else? So there will always be an intersection that you're playing with. So with climate, it looks very different as opposed to a traditional career. So the advice that I will give you here will also be very specific to what I think is important for anybody starting their career in this field. So I think when it comes to what are your levers, I think first thing is your story. Your story is your first lever that you don't typically need in a traditional career. Like say if you're an accounting job, they ask you why do you want to do accounting? There's some disturbance in the background. Can we have them on mute?
Sure, we'll take that.
Yeah, great. So you need to really figure out what needs fixing in the world and why you're here in this space. I will speak a little bit more about this in the next slides. How can I use my skills or develop new ones to drive change? Who am I building alongside? These are all levers you'll have to think about. I'm just left this up on the side so that you can think about this later. And how are you creating a sense of urgency in your career? Because it's not just a career in terms of just getting you a salary, but it has a real world implication, a very real world implication. So there has to be a sense of urgency. And how are you planning to create that in your career as well? And what cross discipline are you planning to choose? Which intersection do you plan to focus on or develop a niche in as well? So it's very important that we look at these levers and try to build on them. And I truly believe that now that I spent some time researching about what should I speak, I'm quite convinced that your careers cannot be built or do not have the luxury of being passive. Like there are a lot of careers just by its function, you can exist without actually being loud. You can actually just get by. But anybody who has decided that they want to pursue a career in climate, you do not actually have the luxury to do that. And that's why your story matters more than anybody else's. And you need to know how to present that story to folks as well. I will be doing a few activities in the coming slides, and I'm hoping that a few of you participate, because then I would want you to sort of tell me a little bit about how you're thinking about this as well. But yeah, so why you are here matters, and I want to focus on that before we even move further. So I want to start with the why. I want all of you to take 2 minutes to reflect on what triggered your interest in climate. And it'd be great if there's an inciting incident. Like there has to be some inciting incident. It could be in your childhood, it could be anytime. Like if you have an inciting incident, that's great. Even if you don't, if you have a more macro view, that's also fine. But an inciting incident always makes for a great story in interviews as well. So if you have that, I'd love to hear about that. What issue within the climate space do you care about most? And also why? Why do you care most about that particular space? And why does all of this matter to you personally? So I'm going to start the timer. It's 4:17. I think I'm going to give you time till 4:20 to think about this. And then I'll also want a few of you to raise your hands and come off and tell me a little bit about your stories as well. Does that make sense? Cool. Awesome. Once you're done with your story, please raise your hand so that we can have a queue as well. Okay, we have 30 more seconds, so try and wrap up. Okay. Induja, why don't you go first?
Hi, Sagar. I actually had a doubt. Should I write it somewhere or I can just say it?
Oh, okay. You just now that time's up, you can just say it.
I understand it properly. But I'll just say it, I guess. But then, okay, the first question, what triggered my interest? It is not interest, but rather fear. I still remember very vividly when I was in the third grade, my teacher taught me about global warming, the ride back to home, and the entire day I thought we were going to die, like all of us. The world was going to get destroyed in a few days or something. That's how they showed it. So since then, I've always had this anxiety, climate anxiety or global warming anxiety, if I can say it that way. And very recently, I've understood the terms and what actions are being taken, what initiatives are being taken from people. So that's what triggered my interest in climate. The issue that I'm very concerned about is waste management, because going back to the school days again, we've learned about the number of million years that single-use plastics would take to decompose. So that is really stayed in my mind forever, and that's the whole reason for which I'm very concerned about waste management, because so much waste gets produced from one person, so then a family, and then a home, an apartment, and then a community, a city, and then a whole country, and then the whole planet. So it's only increasing but not decreasing anywhere. That's the only concern I have for it. I mean, that's what is always alarming for me about waste management. Yeah.
Okay, great, awesome. Thanks, Induja. Who else wants to share a little bit about their story? I might just pick the people whose cameras are on, just because you guys are easy targets. Adhika, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's been a long journey for me. My interest did not specifically start from climate per se. I think that I did not have the terminology like growing up. I did not have any vocabulary in that sense. But my parents are doctors, and a lot of times they would go to. I'm from Lucknow, and we would go to like nearby villages where they would set up camps for like free healthcare and stuff. Which is when I actually sort of witnessed the impact that giving back brings in the community, and that is something that like I grew up with. As I completed my schooling and went to college, and given the current discourses, I learned about climate change more, and I realized that like this is one area where I want to work. So I guess I can sense that you could say that this is like this entire journey explains the interest. When it comes to issues that I care about, I think that I'm very interested in the impact that climate change has on livelihoods, especially like most vulnerable communities. It's something that I witnessed firsthand during some field visits for college and other things. So this is one area where I want to work on, and something that like a channel that I want to like use it is advocacy. But I'm still figuring my way on that. So
all right, great, thanks, Adhika. Who else wants to go? Like we have time for one more person. Anybody who wants to volunteer? Yes, great. Ashi, why don't you go ahead?
Hi, Sagar. So I think reflecting the questions, I remember, like Induja mentioned, like Adhika mentioned, they were in school. I was in school as well, and I'm from Calcutta. So Calcutta has the biggest wetlands in the world. It's called the East Kolkata wetlands. And I'm that child who did not like EVS in school. I thought it was a useless subject in the first place. Now I look back and realize I was just not good at it, or maybe I was just not as interested then. So I remember, I think in the 8th or 9th grade, we had our geography teacher, and there was some corporate tussle that was going on with regards to the wetlands, and she took the initiative to file a PIL and get signatures from like 30,000 people or something in Calcutta, and she got very involved in this. And at the time, it seemed like a very complicated concept, but then she took out time to teach us about it in class. She broke it down to us as if it were ABC, and I think that really helped us understand the consequences without feeling overwhelmed. However, I think growing up, when I talk to people or when I speak to people who've been working in climate or who want to work in climate, myself included, I think one thing that I've seen everyone struggle with is how they struggle with understanding jargons, or they struggle with understanding complex concepts, which have been sort of weaved in a way to them that feels very overwhelming. Like Induja mentioned, right now she can name that it was climate anxiety, but maybe like when she was in third grade, she wouldn't understand what that feeling exactly was. So I think a lot of us have been through that without understanding what it is. And I think that overwhelming feeling was something that triggered me a lot to understand more, to delve deeper, or to sort of break it down for myself and for others as well. And I think the one issue about the one space in climate that I'm very excited to work in, I think, is climate awareness towards consumer choices, because we do have a lot of upcoming options in renewable energy or in home appliances or even lifestyle choices But I think a lot of us aren't just aware of it, or we're just lazy. Like I wouldn't want to sit down on a Sunday morning and find out like 200 resources to sort of access those things. Maybe I will, but not every time. So I think just everything in one place in a very simplified manner would help in starting the climate journey, which is also why it matters so much to me personally, because I've dealt with all of it, having tried to figure out my way through things and then trying to simplify it for others. So yeah.
Got it. Thanks so much, Ashi. That's so interesting to hear all of your takes on this. Great. I think this was an excellent activity, even for the ones who don't have their cameras on. But this is just step one. Now, what I would highly recommend all of you do is that you have great stories. I need you to write these stories down. I need you to refine them and keep them very close to yourself, because this will be the first thing that anybody is going to ask you, regardless of whether it's an interview or you're trying to network with people, and you actually will not have as much time, or people might not be as patient to hear the entire story. So you need to get this personal mission statement of yours as refined as possible, especially when you're at events, when you're going to interviews. You need to ensure that this comes out very strongly, but you're also not taking too much time, because you need to know what are the important details here that stand out and that also highlight my passion for climate and why I have started this, and at the same time seems authentic as well. All of you have great stories, write them down. Like, unless you don't write it, it won't be real and you won't get an opportunity to refine them as well. So if there's one thing you do after the session, let it be this, that you write your why and you refine it constantly. Now you have a lot of, give it to your peers, ask them what do they think of the story, take feedback from them. Now you have AI as well. You can always ask AI to give you feedback on your writing. Tell them that, hey, you are, you're an expert evaluator. Can you tell me what do you think of the story and rate it out of 10? That's the best way for you to get feedback on your story, and we'll tell you what the gaps are as well. So try and do that. But I'm glad we did this activity. Now to go to the next, I won't spend too much time here, but this seems like a very simplistic slide, but I also think it was very important to put it, because identifying your core skills and strengths seems like something that's been said since time immemorial, but we still haven't written it down. And I would want you to make diagrams. Like, the reason why I've written map out is because I don't want you to write it. Like, if you could actually visually represent your strengths and try to connect them all, that would be an excellent way for you to tell your story during interviews. And this is very important for people in climate, because they will try to see whether this individual can think intersectionally and has strengths across the board. And this is something you will not get if you try to write it down. If you try to write it down, you'll try to make a story out of it. But if you try and draw your strengths and try to connect them, you will get a better picture. So another activity that I won't make you do right now, but you should at your own time, is map out your strengths. And they don't necessarily have to be only around climate. It can be the soft skills and the hard skills both. And it could be skills that you cannot actually verbalize really well, right? It could be a lot of things. Like you could say that, there was this one time in college, I ran WhatsApp groups really well. I don't know what to call that. Like, I don't know if I'd be great at managing communities offline, but I know how to manage WhatsApp groups really well. Just write it down. Whatever it is that you think you're good at, and you have some evidence to back it as well, because that's the best way to sort of show that as well. When you have evidence, you're able to tell your story in a much stronger way. So that's that. And the tools as well, like whatever tools, like be it Canva, be it Keynote, be it presentations that you've done. But don't write Microsoft PowerPoint because you know how to open the application, write it. Just like you truly have to mean it. Like, I know all of you have gone to LinkedIn and said MS Word is my strong skill, or I know how to use Canva because you took a template and you wrote it down. But you truly believe that you're really good at Canva. If you are, then sure, agreed. You should put it down. But the idea is nobody's going to see this map or this visual representation. It's only you. So you should think about the things that you're really good at, and you should also, in a very small corner, write the things that you maybe need to work on. Like, it could be like documentation. Like, you think that you're not very articulate, or you don't know how to write in the best possible manner. So it's very important for you to work on that. So you will also understand your gaps and something that you have to work on. So that, but you can write that in the corner, let the strengths take the spotlight, and also write the gaps in the corner as well. So since we're talking about soft skills, nobody cares about soft skills. Everyone cares about the jobs that you get because you have soft skills. So I'm going to also focus on the career part, where people actually, this is what you really want, right? Like, you want to get interesting work to do as an early career professional. And the one thing that you need to have, not one thing, you need two things. You need visibility and you need credibility. Visibility, how do you get visibility? You get it through LinkedIn, you get it through blogs that you are writing, and you of course get it through your resume or your CV. And you also need credibility. That credibility comes through proof of work. If you've gone to a decent college, it always helps. I won't pretend that it won't. So college helps, and reference. And I will touch upon all of this as well. But before we move any further, for all of you on this call, if you have any questions, specific questions about networking, about soft skills, about any specific question that you wanted to ask in this session, please put it on the chat box. I will address all of them in the end. But it could be about anything to do with careers as well. I'd be happy to help there. The first thing I'm going to talk about, unfortunately or fortunately, is LinkedIn. And how do you sort of, LinkedIn's become infamous, right? Like, nobody really enjoys using LinkedIn, but for better or for worse, it's a necessary evil. Like, you need to sort of, especially if you're an early career professional, you need to know how to operate LinkedIn in the best possible manner. And the first thing I think LinkedIn still is useful for is to build taste. And when I say build taste, all I mean is, after the session, another homework for you is go and check your LinkedIn right now. Is your feed curated? Do you have interesting climate professionals or professionals in general that you're following? Not connected to, because sure, everybody's not going to accept a connection request, and you should not send meaningless connection requests to people anyway. But are you following interesting climate professionals who are saying interesting things on a regular basis? And your LinkedIn should at least be 70% of that, 70 to 80% of smart climate folks that are saying interesting things that you can take upon, so that when there's a random interview that comes up, you have things to talk about because you've been consuming this content subconsciously as well. So ensure that you're able to follow as many of such interesting folks, and they don't have to necessarily be influencers. They don't necessarily have to be like Elon Musk's of the climate world. They could just be early professionals that have had interesting career outcomes as well. And that's one place that you'll have to do the hard work in. You'll have to see which are the best climate schools in the world, and you'll have to see the professionals that have come out of there and what kind of work they're doing, and can I follow them and see what what trajectory they're having. It could also be people very close to you who have had similar trajectories as well. Yes, Ashna. I see you.
Yes, Sagar, this session is going really fun, and I like the suggestion of following about curating the feed that you just gave. So if you have any good recommendation, please feel free to share it with us. This is for other folks also on the call, the fellows. If you have good suggestions, please put it up.
Yeah, that would be great actually. Like, if all of you have like people in your networks as well that you've been following. Like, one guy that I follow who's a friend of mine is Pranav Krishnan. He's actually, I'm sure a few of you might know him, but he's currently pursuing his masters in Columbia. I think his masters is in sustainability, if I'm not wrong, and he's been an ESG advocate for a while as well. Yes, Adhika.
Adhika, first of all, I'm sorry. No, I just my question is that how you sort of differentiate between authentic content and just the other stuff, because there's so many people creating climate content now.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. I have one slide specifically for that. We will get to that as well. Like, but building taste would also require you to consume some of the bad content to actually differentiate what is good and bad content. But we are living in an age of access where we can sort of see the numbers as well. And I would not recommend the LinkedIn numbers, but places like Substack are a great platform for finding your niche. And I have a few recommendations for you there as well. I have it on the next slide. I'll tell you how to build taste there. But one pro tip for you is that whenever you see interesting climate articles in Indian or foreign magazines or newspapers, they will always have quotes from people. Like these are people that that they've gone for quotes for. So you should go and check their LinkedIn profile, because the newspapers or the magazines have already done the hard job of verifying or vetting this individual for you. So you can just go check their LinkedIn profile, and chances will be that they're active. If they have a media personality or they have a media presence, that also means that they'll be active on LinkedIn. Also check Twitter. I actually don't know how active or inactive climate Twitter is. It could actually be a very happening place. I just am not aware of it. But you should check out Twitter as well. There are always interesting people saying interesting things there too. So curate your Twitter feed as well. I have done that for myself in terms of the things I want to consume. I also recommend for Instagram, but most people don't do that. So at least LinkedIn and Twitter are two places where you can curate it for work. And build taste and well-formed opinions. Like eventually, what the idea is that you consume good content, and eventually you are actually able to formulate opinions or agree with opinions, and hopefully eventually write about them as well. I won't push you to writing right now, but eventually I would want you guys to start writing as well and start building your proof of work. But that will only happen once you've consumed enough good content from senior climate professionals or professionals who've been writing really well as well. Writing is another skill. If you guys want to talk about that, that's a completely different session about how to write and how to write for the internet. It's a different skill. I would be happy to cover that for people who want to do that, but that's a long session, so we'll speak about that later. Third is don't be a Wikipedia page. So whenever you see content where people are just writing news on their LinkedIn profile, that doesn't add value at all. Like I don't want news from Darshana, or I don't want news from Induja about climate. I want to know what Darshana's opinion on that particular news is. Does she have a particular viewpoint on the entire thing? Then I'm happy to hear what she has. Or what does Induja think about the same? Then I'm happy to hear that. But I see a lot of early career professionals doing what? That I will just write down news. Why? Like what are you planning to achieve with that? Like you're not adding value for anybody in terms of your identity, because I can also copy paste the news. How are you differentiating yourself? That doesn't add value, so never do that. And this will be slightly difficult for you guys to do, but I would want you to pay attention to this, is to avoid climate echo chambers. Every industry or every profession always has echo chambers. So echo chambers are essentially places where there's a slang I could use, but I don't want to use that. Like the idea is that these climate professionals want to look good in front of climate professionals. So they will posture themselves in a certain way, and they will, present themselves on the internet, but it actually doesn't add enough value to the world. You have to always remember why you got into climate. It is also to not just speak to climate professionals, it's actually to speak to the larger audience and to create a sense of urgency with them. So anytime you start using too much jargon, somebody talked about jargon, I think it was Ashi. Anytime you're speaking in too much jargon, hold yourself back and try to think, can I see this in a simpler manner so that this information is accessible to people who are not climate folks. So you need to try and do that actively as well. Try to avoid those echo chambers. And if you're applying for jobs, please don't ever use easy apply. Like that's my like if you just don't do that. Like always go and see if there's a tougher way to apply, because that will always be, you will probably be identified, or your chances of actually getting through an interview will be much higher there. So ensure that you're not using the easy apply button, it's a scam. And when you're trying to reach out to senior professional folks or even your contemporaries that you actually don't know really well, you should be nice and try hard when you're reaching out. Like don't be too afraid to come off as desperate. That, oh, am I being too desperate reaching out to these people that I don't know? Nobody actually cares if you're nice. And there's always a numbers game. Like you will always reach out to 5 people, maybe one will respond, but you actually don't have a lot to lose. So you should actually reach out to as many people as you can. And that is something that you should definitely do. And that's why I'm going to get to networking 101. I'm just going to try and speed up because I think we have. Pranay, are we running out of time?
So we have some time. Then we have some time for break. So
okay. I have time till what? Till 5?
Yeah, 5.
Okay, great. Then we have time. I don't have much to cover after this. Okay, when it comes to networking, this is also something that early career professionals miss out on or don't know how to do very well. I'd say you will have to take a proactive effort in maintaining friendships in this space and the community, and it should not look very transactional. I have seen communities fail because the entire community is based on the foundation of the premise of transactions. That I'm going to ask something, you're going to give me something, but those never pan out really well. Like a community needs to seem friendly, it needs to seem like everyone's here to sort of help each other, and create a small WhatsApp group with at least a few folks in your circle that you can constantly send information to, give resources about. If there's a fellowship that you are recognizing, like your similar fellowships that like this one, then you should send it to them so that they also know that they need to apply. You should never think that, oh, I should not tell them, I should just apply discreetly and things like that. That will always create a scarcity mindset, and don't do that. There is enough for everybody, and in the longer run, it will always be these connections that will matter. So ensure that you're able to sort of maintain those friendships. Go out with them if you can. And everything doesn't have to. You don't have to talk shop all the time. You don't have to talk climate all the time. Sometimes you can just go out and have fun. Like the idea is to have very organic relationships with each other so that you're able to help each other long term. There's a lot of bad advice out there about networking, which is very short term. Think about these as human relationships and how to sort of foster them as you would foster any friendship. And another thing is you need contemporaries and seniors alike. So try and reach out to as many seniors as you can as well. They don't have to be super senior, but at least 5 years, 6 years senior to you. They're actually more accessible. They're more than happy to give back and treat you as a mentee. So try and reach out to these mid-level professionals and try and see if you can strike a chord with them, if you can strike a connection with them. Long, thoughtful, non-transactional emails go a long way with everyone. There have been certain times where I've written a lot of things on my blog, and random people have sent really long emails to me saying that this really helped. And I have actually stayed in touch with a few of them, and one of them actually ended up interning at my place as well. So always, whenever there is like a long, thoughtful email that you're sending to somebody after you've read something that they've written and you really like, you should always send that to them, saying that I particularly like this a lot, and not with the intention of actually getting a job with them. Maybe it may pan out, it may not pan out, but the idea is to reach out and be nice to as many people as you can in that space. And the last one is start writing as soon as possible. For people who think they have the writing muscle, you should start as soon as possible. Don't get into the trap of thinking that I don't know enough to start writing. You always have something of value to add, especially to your contemporaries. So start writing for them, if not for the senior folks. And eventually, once you sort of build the writing muscle, it will always help. And for climate folks, highly recommend that you make a website with your domain name. So if Parag is making a website, he should have his name and surname.com and try and put as much proof of work there as possible. It's super easy to now make a website for yourself. And the investment is not that much. It's maybe like 1,500 rupees or 1,700 rupees for a domain for a year. Always do that if you can. And proof of work does more than shallow networking. If you're writing something and you're sending it to people and asking for feedback, that's much better networking than just saying, hi, would love to stay connected. Let's please stay in touch. That won't ever work. But if you write a very thoughtful article and send it to people and say, hey, I would love your feedback on this, chances are, more people will end up reaching out to you. Now, when it comes to taste, these are a few very interesting, like I read a few articles. These are all really popular Substacks, blogs on the internet about the climate. So there is Climate Drink, there is Heated, and then there is Distilled. All of these are on Substack. You guys should definitely subscribe to them. Another thing that you should do is, if your digital diet is not curated around climate, I would highly recommend that you do that. One way that you can do this, a pro tip is create a different email ID for all your email subscriptions. For all your reading subscriptions, create a separate email ID so that whenever you enter that email, you know that you're here to read and you can read as much as possible there. Don't oversubscribe. Be very choosy with the subscriptions that you actually want to read so that you are able to give enough time in reading them. And whenever you find interesting people there, reach out to them and say, this really helped me. Thank you so much for writing it. They may or may not reach out, but the idea is always to reach out to them and see what comes in. I also have curated a small PDF for all of you. That's called like an early resources. I will walk you through that once we're done with this. But that's all I have to, I think, talk about in terms of in the intersection of climate. I've been writing a series just for early career professionals in general, and that's about 3 things that I think are incredibly valuable for early career professionals to build in their lives. First is depth, and in this particular order. First is depth, second is agency, and third is taste. And what I mean by that is, I've already written about depth. I am happy to share that article with you. I'm currently writing my article on agency. The idea is that young people often, choose pursuits that don't let them develop depth. And eventually they become 40 and they realize that they've been in a place of work or a place of life as well. Like, it's not just about work, but in life as well. And they have actually not developed real depth anywhere. Sure, they've gotten by well, they've gotten a great salary, they've gotten a nice house. But if you ask them if they have really deep knowledge about something, a certain, it could be multiple topics, but even just one topic, if you've developed depth and you're really passionate about that, most people will not be able to. It'll always be just 1 or 2 years, and after that, there's nothing else. Because of work environment, a company or an organization and work in general is not designed to help you develop depth. You have to do that by yourself, and it has to be intentional. I won't spend too much time. I will be happy to share this article with you guys. But first thing that you have to definitely develop as an early career professional is depth in your field. One good thing for all of you is that you have decided what that area is going to look like for you. If it's climate, now the first question you should ask yourself, how do I develop depth in climate? How do I develop deep knowledge, and how do I do certain activities every single day to develop depth in that space? Second is agency. I'd say a lot of you already have agency because you've decided that I actually wanted to apply to this fellowship, actually wanted to learn more about climate careers and do something about it. Agency you could like use attitude and agency interchangeably, but agency is so much more. Agency, like one quote that I was thinking about is that you don't have to get paid to actually activate your agency. Some people, they're like, I will pay you 50 lakh rupees a year. And then everyone's just like, yeah, I'll work really well. But agency actually comes in the absence of real incentives as well. It could come in the in uncertainty as well. Like for somebody who's starting up their own company, they have to operate in the uncertainty of whether this will happen or not, but they have to still show up every single day with the same attitude and just with that go-getter attitude, with the absence of real incentives. That's money, prestige, status. They would have nothing of that, but they would still have to show up every single day. And taste is something that upper middle class folks and rich folks are handed down over by their parents. It's something that some people are born with, some people are lucky to be born with, but then you will also see people from the lower socioeconomic strata trying to build that. And sometimes what really stops their progress is taste, which is why whenever I'm speaking to that audience, I would always say try and develop taste, because that's what will take you further. Because depth and agency, I feel like they always have much more than say the city folks or the upper socioeconomic strata. I'm assuming most of you come from the upper socioeconomic strata, and taste is something that you already developed, but you also have to develop taste in your specific field of work, and of course life as well, but work specifically. Are you following the right people? Are you reading the right things? So all of that comes under taste. But with that being said, I've also decided to give all of you access to my product called Mock Interview. I have made this available to all climate fellows from this cohort. I'll give you the access. Idea is very simple. It's basically once you sort of upload your resume, you choose a climate, like you choose a role. I think there are a few roles that the team told me shortlisted. It was climate finance, climate policy, a few of them. So once you upload your resume, you choose your role. You'll get like personalized questions that come up on your screen once you start the interview. And you'll be able to sort of record your answer for each one of them. And once you submit it, you will get instant feedback on what went right, what went wrong, what would an expected response look like, what was your response, what could you do better. So all of that's there. I think there are currently you can take 3 interviews per account. If you want me to, if you want to practice more, just reach out to me. I'd be happy to, also extend that for you guys. And that's my last slide for you guys. I think in 2025, being desperate is not a bad thing, and people are trying really hard. And you guys, given the space that you're in, you actually have to try really, really, really hard to get into interesting places. So I hope that all of you can remember that. Since you are early career professionals trying to switch to climate or trying to switch to this space, which is again such a fantastic thing to do, I hope all of you don't give up too easily. I hope you guys are okay with trying hard with everything that it is that you have to do. I'd be happy to share this presentation with you later as well. But that's all I have for you guys. I will also, what I can do is quickly share my share the PDF screen. Just give me a second. So I don't know if you can see my screen, but can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes. So I have curated a few resources for you guys. These include newsletters to develop taste, and then a few India-specific career platforms and communities that you could follow, and global career guides on how to start a climate career. And there are a few very interesting articles I read, so I thought it'd be helpful for all of you to sort of have these resources together. So I'll share this with the team, and I'm sure they'll pass it on to you guys. But I have just one more thing. I think I'm good. And with the mock interview, I don't know, Pranay, should I give the demo later? Now you let me know.
So maybe we can take a short break, and after the mock interview, we can give a quick demo of the product.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And anybody wants to stay in touch with me, wants to get to speak about anything, you can always scan the QR, stay connected on LinkedIn, or write me an email. I'd be happy to connect there. But that's it from my hand. I hope this was helpful. I hope it wasn't too peachy. But yeah, thank you so much.